Proverbs 22 verse 3 states, "A prudent man foreseeth the evil, and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished." Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1 reminds us, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven." As believers, we often hear about standing firm, fighting the good fight, and persevering through trials. But there is another side to wisdom, knowing when to flee. Running away is not always an act of cowardice. Sometimes it is the key to victory. There are battles that should be fought head-on, but there are also battles that are better avoided. An African proverb says, "A child does not ask what killed his father when his hand has not grown to wield a weapon." This means that wisdom teaches us to step away from danger when we are not yet equipped to handle it. The Bible gives us many examples of great men and women who ran, not because they were weak, but because they had a greater destiny to fulfill. Jacob had been mightily blessed by his father Isaac, but his brother Esau was filled with rage and sought to kill him. What did Jacob do? He fled. Had Jacob stayed, Esau would have killed him, and the blessing upon his life would have been wasted. But by running away, Jacob preserved the promise of God. Later, after years of preparation, he returned stronger, reconciled with Esau, and walked into his destiny. David was playing the harp for King Saul when suddenly Saul threw a spear at him. David had been anointed to be the next king of Israel, but the current king wanted him dead. Did David fight back? Did he try to prove his strength? No, he fled. If David had stayed, Saul might have killed him, and he would never have become king. Instead, David ran and waited for God's appointed time. Many years later, he returned, not as a fugitive, but as the rightful king of Israel. One of the most striking examples is Jesus himself. When he was still a baby, King Herod sought to kill him. But what did God do? The angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, "Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt." Some might ask, where were the angels? Couldn't God have sent an army of angels to protect Jesus? Of course, but God knew that it was not yet time for battle, so he commanded Joseph to flee. Even the Son of God had a season of fleeing before fulfilling his mission. If Jesus had not been taken to Egypt, Herod would have killed him, and the plan of salvation would have been hindered. God does not always call us to fight. Sometimes he calls us to flee. Here are some situations where wisdom demands that we run. Some battles are too big for you at the moment. You must first grow, train, and prepare. Not every fight is yours to win today. Sometimes victory comes after retreat and preparation. There are times when fighting is foolish because you are not yet equipped. Let God handle battles that are beyond your strength. When people gather to destroy you, sometimes the best thing to do is step away. Joseph, Moses, David, and even Jesus had to flee from conspiracies. Anything that pulls you away from God's presence is dangerous. Flee from it. Sin is a trap. It will keep you longer than you want to stay and cost you more than you want to pay. Sometimes, God calls you to retreat so you can recover and be strengthened for the next battle. A wise soldier does not fight when he is weak. He steps back, regroups, and returns stronger. David fled from Saul, but used that time to become a mighty warrior. Jesus waited 30 years before beginning his ministry. He took time to prepare. If you're not ready for a challenge, step back, prepare, and return when God says it is time. Idolatry is not just bowing to statues. It is anything that takes God's place in your life. Run from anything that competes with God in your heart. Money is a tool, but loving it more than God is a trap. Many have lost their faith chasing after riches. Some people think that running away is a sign of fear, but the Bible teaches us that knowing when to flee is a sign of wisdom. Jacob fled and became the father of a great nation. David fled and became king. Jesus fled and fulfilled his mission. If they had stayed and fought at the wrong time, their destinies could have been destroyed. God sometimes calls you to flee so that you can fight another day. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1 says, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. There is a time to fight and a time to flee." There's a time to stand and a time to step back. There's a time to speak and a time to be silent. If God tells you to flee, do not be stubborn. Obey his voice, and he will bring you back at the right time. Lord, give me the wisdom to know when to stand and fight, and when to step back and flee. Help me to trust your timing, so that I may walk in your perfect will. Amen. May the Lord guide your steps and grant you wisdom in all things. Amen.